I want to get started on our backs today. So just come to a Shavasana pose. And start to engage with your breath. Take these first few minutes of class to lengthen either side of your breath, inhales and exhales. Leave the rest of your day off the mat. Just drop into the body. And I'm going to do a little reading to start off class. Something that you can take as an intention or just reflection as you're practicing, if it resonates for you. Every time someone loves themselves better, builds their self-awareness, understands their patterns, improves their ability to communicate, and expands their compassion for others, the future of humanity grows brighter. Your healing impacts the world by bringing in new peace. That's a quote from Young Pueblo. And that is one of my favorite things about yoga and yoga philosophy and practice, that really the change begins with us. And by engaging in self-growth, we are contributing to humanity and the world. So just perhaps reflect for a moment on your own growth and how that might impact the community and the world around you. Coming to your mat today is a really good start. We're going to take 3 more deep breaths. And I want you to lift your right leg up to the sky. Flex in the foot and put the strap around your foot. If you don't have a strap, you can just hold onto the back of the leg. Notice what your left foot is doing. Really press your bottom leg into the floor. Breathe into the back of the leg and try to flatten your spine onto the ground. Now switch your hands so only your right hand is holding onto the strap, and then open out the leg to the right. Again, if you don't have a strap, you can just hold on to the outside of the leg here. Try to keep your hips evenly away from you. So there should be an equal amount of space between the ribs and the top of the hip on either side. Now bring your foot back to center overhead, and we're going to cross it over. So just drop that leg over to the left. You can open up the right arm into a T shape. So you should get a little twist in the digestion, as well as hopefully an IT band stretch. So the outside of your right glute and your right thigh. Come back to the center and let's switch out the legs. So we're stretching now the left foot up to the sky. Breathe into the back of the leg. And really notice how your body feels right now, the sensations, the tightness, the openness, whatever you feel, because we're going to be doing the same exercise at the end of class after we do our flow. So it's a really good exercise in checking with the body and seeing how your yoga practice affects the body, the mind, everything. And now open up that leg out to the left side. And bring it back to center and cross it over into your twist/IT band stretch. What are you guys giggling about?
Kelly's got her foot up my butt.
Yoga is very intimate, okay?
That was warm.
And come back to the center. Lift both of your feet up to the sky and flex your toes back towards the face. And now bend into the knees, set the feet onto the ground, and try to align your ankles right underneath your knees. Depending on the length of your arms, you might be able to graze the backs of your heels. And then lift up the hips towards the sky. Notice if your knees are splaying out, try to control them in. Press the hands into the mat. And then let's take some bridge lifts. So lower down to the ground. Exhale, press up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, up. Keep going like this, but I want you to raise your right leg and straighten it. So we're continuing bridge lifts, but the right leg is off the ground and straight out ahead of you. Keep that leg active by either pointing or flexing the foot. And switch the legs. Good. Come back to center. Lift the feet up off the ground. Grab onto the backs of the thighs. Take some rock and rolls. Massage the spine. And then cross at the ankles. Rock yourself forward. Walk the knees back. You're in your tabletop position. And since we're going to do some hip opening today, I want you to take this as a little bit of a longer stance so your shoulders don't have to be directly over your wrists. And drop the hips forward, to the side, and back. So we're going in a big circle with the hips. Reverse the circles. And come back to the center again. Let's tuck the toes. Press back to downward facing dog. And pedal out the feet for 5 breaths. Start at the root, so your feet and your hands, and kind of scan up all the way to the peak at the top of the hips. Just notice your alignment. Then let's walk the feet up to the hands. You're in your forward fold with the hips width distance in the feet. Shake out the head a little no. Sway a little side to side. Knees can be bent. And then just roll up super slowly all the way to standing. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Take a really big stretch up to the sky like you just woke up. And then we're going to take just some arm circles. So just start swimming the arms backwards. Warming up into the shoulders. And reverse. So now we're swimming forward. Come back to center with the arms overhead. Try to close the palms over you and keep the arms straight. Engage your abdominals and turn to face the right and really bump that right hip forward so that your hips are square to the front of your space. Inhale. Exhale. And switch to the other side. Come back to center, and we're going to do that a little faster and with arms. So inhale, center. Exhale, open to the side. Open the arms into easy twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, open the arms again. Other side. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Drop the right arm to the right leg. Stretch the left arm overhead, getting a nice side body stretch. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. And tuck your pelvis so your two front hip points want to come closer to your face. And then switch sides. And come back to center. Good. Lift up your right knee. And I want you to just set your right ankle to the outside of your left femur bone, your thigh bone, and flex the right foot. And then sit back into a chair. So we're in a pigeon chair situation. You can bring the arms, the hands at heart center. You can bring the arms overhead and really sit back to stretch into that hip. Come all the way up. Release the leg, but try not to drop it onto the ground. Extend the right leg ahead of you. Here you can grab onto a strap or you can hold onto the back of the leg. You can also reach forward and grab the inside of the big toe with your peace fingers. Kick the right foot forward. If the knee keeps a bend, that's okay. And then open out to the side. So this is like what we were doing on the floor. We're just standing now. And you can keep the left hand onto the hip. Come back to the front. Release the toe and point the toes in front of you. Try to lift the leg even higher, but keep the hips even. And then bend in the knee, bring it in for tree pose. Press the foot and the thigh together. Bring the hands to heart center. So you want the foot set either above or below the knee, but not on the knee. And as you're doing this, think about pressing your right knee open. Might change the stretch that you feel in that leg. Good. Release, come back to center. And now step your right foot back. You're coming to your crescent pose. Look up towards the sky or in front of you, whatever feels better on the neck. And to get more of a psoas opening, you can bend into the right knee, tuck the hips underneath you, and then work to re-straighten. And then bring the hands around the left foot. Step the right foot up so you're in a forward fold. Take one breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Roll yourself all the way up. And then let's do that all on the other side. So you're gonna lift up your left knee, set your left ankle bone on the outside of your right thigh. Hands come to heart center or above you. Chair pigeon. And the reason we're keeping the foot flexed is because it protects the knee. When we're engaging the muscles, while we stretch, we are protecting the joints from overworking. One more breath here. Come all the way back up. Kick that leg out in front of you and do whatever you did on the other side, assuming you don't have any special injuries or anything like that on this side. So here I can straighten my leg, but when I do that, it pulls my left shoulder forward. So I want to maintain integrity in my left shoulder, pull it back into the socket, and that means for me bending my leg. And then open out to the side. Come back to center. Release the foot and point the toes. Try to lift the leg as high as you can. And then place it into your tree pose. Hands to heart center, or arms can extend overhead. Press the legs in towards each other. That should help your foot to stay in place as well. Press the left knee open. It helps to find a drishti or a point of focus that's unmoving, like a dot on the wall or something. And release down. Shake it out a little bit. And then lift the arms overhead and step back into your high crescent lunge on the left side. Roll the shoulders back, bend in the knee, tuck the hips underneath you, and then re-straighten the leg. Sink into that right leg. Bring the hands down, plant them onto the mat. Step the left foot up into your forward fold. Roll yourself all the way up to standing. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, dive forward, back to your forward fold. Bend in the knees. Step only the right foot back. Drop the right knee to the floor and pat it with, if you need, by folding over your mat. And just bring your hands to interlace on top of your left leg. Really press into the knee to stabilize the shoulders. And allow your hips to sink down as far as feels okay for you. Option to lift up the back right foot and hold on to it with the right hand for an extra quad stretch. Release that right foot if you had a hold of it. Let's set the right hand down. Open the left arm into a twist. If you want here, you can tuck the right toes and straighten the right leg. And then sweep that left arm down. Step the left foot back. Lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. Looks beautiful, guys. And walk those feet up to the hands. You're in a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Roll yourself all the way up. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, hands come to the heart center. Forward fold again. Just to plant the hands down and step the left foot back. Pad the knee if you need before you set the left knee down. Come up. Interlace the fingers the opposite way you had them before. Place them on top of the right thigh and sink into the hips. If you did it on the other side, maybe you reach back, grab the left foot with the left hand. And then release the foot, set the left hand down, come to your twist. Option to tuck the left toes and straighten into your crescent twist. Notice what your neck is doing. Sometimes the neck wants to kind of crane back here. Try to keep it nice and long. And then set the right hand down. Step the right foot back. You can take a chaturanga if you like, or meet in down dog. You can keep moving in your down dog, pedaling out the feet, getting a deeper stretch into each hamstring. Keep the spine really straight. And then I want you to lift up your right knee into the sky. Take your hip circles, draw some circles in the air with the knee. This is a really good way to warm up the hip for some nice, deep hip stretches later on in class. And then straighten the right leg back out. Bring the knee into the nose. Step the right foot between the hands. Come up to your crescent pose. Take 3 breaths. Drop your left arm down. You're coming to your twist. Bring your right arm down. Step your left foot halfway up your mat and set the heel down. And you're coming to a pyramid pose. So really deep hamstring stretch on the right side. Maybe you grab onto your shin if you can't reach the floor. Inhale, straighten the spine, and exhale, round forward. You can take these little micro movements as you breathe to deepen the stretch, and try to plug your right femur bone back into the hip socket so that the hips are square to the front of your space. Release the hands back down, bend into the right knee, step the left foot back, step the right foot back. Option to take a chaturanga here. And meet me in downward dog. Lift up that left knee, make your nice hip circles. Feel the change in temperature in the hip socket. I mean, maybe there isn't one, but for me, it gets nice and warm. And when you're ready, you can bring that left knee to nose, step the left foot between the hands, come up into your high lunge. Drop the right hand down, come into your twist. Try to sink into the left leg here. So the twist is coming from the belly instead of the hips. And lengthen the neck. Set the left foot hand down. Walk the right foot halfway up the mat and set the heel down for your pyramid pose. And take those little micro adjustments with the breath. Inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, come a little closer to the leg. Plug the left femur bone into the hip socket. And then bend into that left leg. Set the hands down. Step the right foot back and the left foot back. Option to take a chaturanga. Once you make it to your downward dog, I want you to drop your knees really wide on the mat and touch the toes behind you. Sit back into your wide-legged child's pose. We're going to stay here for about 10 breaths. So I want you to send all of your breath into the hips. Let gravity really sink you into the floor here. Let it do the work for you. We don't have to push too hard to see results in yoga. A lot of times things happen even smoother and more organically when we just relax. Got about 2 more breaths. Make them nice and long. And raise yourself up out of your child's pose. You're back into a tabletop position. And take a couple more of those hip circles here. Moving the hips in a big circular motion, and then reversing the circle. Let's take a quick cat-cow. So inhale, look forward, drop the belly, but still engage the core. And reverse that. Look between the knees. Really press that upper back towards the ceiling. One more inhale, look forward. Exhale, look between the knees. Come back to neutral. Take a couple of scoops from the peanut butter jar. Roll your ribs all the way around. Engage your breath with this. So you're exhaling as you come up, inhaling as you go down, and reverse the circles. Come back to center. Walk the hands a bit forward. Tuck your toes. Press back to downward dog. Lift up the right leg into the sky, bend into the knee and stack the hip. Keep it still this time. Try to square your shoulders to the mat and open the right knee as much as you can without twisting the upper body. And if you want to take this into your flip dog, you can by just dropping the right foot behind you, lifting the right arm off the mat, and really try to press your whole left foot onto the mat. Reach the right arm behind you. Press the chest and the belly up to the sky. And if you want to take a little challenge, you can try to bend the right knee and bring it all the way into your lunge. This time, walk your right foot to the outside of your mat. My right toes are hanging off, my left heel is on. You're in an active lizard pose here, so my left toes are still tucked. My left leg is straight. Just take a few breaths to sink into the hips. Again, press through the hands to stay active in the shoulders and create space between the shoulders and the ears. I have my gaze about 6 inches in front of my hands on the mat. That helps me to keep a really long neck. And when you're ready, you can drop your left knee down to the ground and untuck the left toes. You can stay up on the hands or come down to the forearms. You can come down to blocks. In these long holds, you want to have a discomfort level of about 5 or 6 on a scale of 10. Notice if other parts of your body are tensing up, or if you're holding your breath, that means you probably went a little too far and you want to back off. And option here, if you want to bend in the left leg, come up onto the left hand and reach back and grab the left foot with the right hand in a twist. Even if you can't touch it, you can just lift up that leg and you'll still get a nice quad stretch. Wherever you're at, just find integrity and presence there. And then you can bring the right arm back forward, drop the left knee, the left foot. Straighten the left leg, and then I want you to just sweep that right leg through and turn it into a pigeon pose. Before we settle in, because we're going to hold this for a good minute, I want you to really look at your hips while you're still up on your hands. You want them to be pretty even to the floor. So if you need to take a pillow and place it underneath the butt, you can do that. Like this. And once you feel like you're really even, come all the way down or to whatever level feels good. And again, keep your discomfort level to about a 5 or 6 so that you can hold this comfortably. And try to relax all of the muscles that you don't need here. So earlier in class, I mentioned that when we have muscle engagement, that protects our joints. And usually we are pushing ourselves a little bit harder. Maybe our discomfort level is over a 5 or a 6 in those more active poses. But here, for a more yin style stretch, we're actually aiming to stretch the connective tissues. And the muscles need to be relaxed in order to do that. But of course, we can't push too hard because that can cause injury, especially when we're holding for long periods of time. Got about 10 more breaths here. And walk those hands back towards the knee, coming up. I want you to look up towards the ceiling, engage in the core, and take a small heart opener or back bend. Roll the shoulders back. And then come back to center. Twist to the right and twist to the left. Just looking over either shoulder. Once you're even on both sides, place the hands back down in front of you. Tuck the left toes. Step the right foot back. Press back to downward facing dog. And here I want you to wiggle your hips from side to side. Like you're a dog wagging your tail. And then we're going to lift up the left leg, bend in the knee, stack the hips, hold still for a few moments. Really rotate those shoulders to face the mat, but open the hip as much as you can. And if you did it on the other side, try to keep that right foot flat onto the ground. Step the left foot behind you. Flip dog. And then lift up the left foot and try to step it into your lunge. Step the foot to the outside of the mat. We're in that active lizard pose. Take a few breaths here. Oh, it just started torrentially downpouring. I don't know if you guys can hear it. And then drop that right knee to the ground. Come into your deeper form of this pose. Stay here for a few more breaths. An option to reach back with the left hand to grab the right foot. And come back to your center. We're going to tuck the right toes, shift this into your pigeon by sliding the left foot around. And again, get yourself really squared off before you come all the way down. Also, maybe take a peek at your right leg behind you. Notice if your leg is sort of drifting to one side or the other, or if your ankle is sickling. You want it to be a pretty straight line all the way from the hip back to the toes. And then make your way down. Really deep breaths. And perhaps take this moment to come back to this intention that we talked about at the beginning of class, and how our own self-growth can help the world around us, and where you're at with that today. Got about 3 more breaths here. Walk the hands up, back toward the leg. Come onto the fingertips, take your little back bend. And then come back to center. Twist a little side to side. And come back to center. Plant the hands in front of you. Just step the left knee back so you're in a tabletop. I want you to lift the right arm to the sky, take a twist, and sweep that right arm underneath you. Walk the legs out, straight behind you. Roll over, so you're opening up the left side, and bend into the left knee. So it was just like a super funky transition into a reclined twist. Deep belly breaths. The gut is very related to our stress response. So this is a great opportunity to tell our nervous system that everything is chill. It's all good. You can relax. Beautiful. Let's roll this back over. Plant your left hand down. Plant your right arm down. Come back to that tabletop position. Lift up the left arm for a twist. Sweep the right arm underneath. Set the left shoulder down. Extend out the legs. And then bend into the right leg, open up into your twist on the other side. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like an acrobat right now. That was complicated. Couple more breaths. Roll yourself back onto the belly. Lay flat here for a moment. And then press the fingertips next to the shoulders. Press into the hands to come up for a little back bend. Release back down. And just roll yourself onto your back. Extend your left leg forward and raise your right leg to the sky. Coming back to that original stretch as promised. Breathe into the back of the leg and notice if your body feels any different than it did when we first came to the mat. Open up that leg out to the right. Keeping that left leg active on the ground. Notice if you can relax a little bit more on your exhale. Letting gravity do some work for you. Bring the right leg back up to center and switch the legs. Extend the left leg up and overhead. Right leg is on the ground. Open it up to the left. Come back to the center. And set both of your feet down onto the ground. You want your ankles again to be underneath the knees. Let's lift up the hips into a static bridge position. Maybe for this one you want to interlace the fingers underneath the butt. Tuck the shoulders underneath themselves. Really press the hands into the mat. Notice if the knees are splaying out. Lengthen the neck. Lower yourself all the way down. And option to take a wheel pose here. If you want to, you can flip the hands so the fingertips are pointing to the tops of the shoulders and elbows are pointing up to the sky. And press the hands to lift yourself onto the top of your head. You can stay here. This is still wheel, but try not to put too much pressure on the head because that can hurt the neck. And if you want to lift all the way up, you can. Beautiful, Bella. Good job. And our last little shapes for today. Once you lower back down, let's go into shoulder stand. So just pike up the butt, lift the legs into the air, Use your hands to support your low back. Try to walk the elbows in, closer together. Really active through the legs, letting all the blood rush the opposite direction. And if you want to here, you can take a Baddha Konasana. So placing the soles of the feet together, letting the knees open wide. Notice if the shoulders creeped up by the ears, try to create space there. You can stay here, or if you want to take this into your plow pose, bring the knees back together, straighten the legs, and drop them behind you. Another option is to bend the knees and give yourself a little massage on the temples. And then just roll yourself down one vertebra at a time. You can grab on to the butt to help you land. Extend the left leg forward. Bring in the right leg. Take a half happy baby. So reach your right arm to the inside of the right leg and grab the outside of the right foot. Rock a little side to side. And switch. Straighten out the right. Bring in the left. Happy baby on this side. Release that foot. If there are any poses you want to take to finish off your practice, you can feel free to do that. Or you can release your legs all the way out, coming into your final Shavasana pose. Once you land in your Shavasana, come back to our intention from today. Recognizing where you're at in your journey. Recognizing how all of your experiences can be used to help others. Let your body relax into the floor. Find any pockets of tension in the body. Send the breath there. And I'm going to leave you for a few moments of silence to reflect and integrate your practice today. Begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Maybe take a nice good morning stretch. Roll over onto one side and just rest your head on your bottom arm. Take a breath in your fetal position. And use your top arm to press yourself up. Come to a cross-legged meditation position. Rest your hands either face down on the knees as a symbol of grounding or face up on the knees as a symbol of receptivity and surrender. Feel your body and your mind and your spirit open from this practice. Feel the channels open. And take a moment to recognize and have gratitude for all the work that you've done to get yourself to where you are at in this class and also in life today. We all have our struggles and our challenges and our joys, and they bring us to this moment now. Bring the hands to heart center. Take a deep breath in through the heart. Exhale. Move the hands to the third eye and take a bow forward. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope that you can bring your yoga with you off your mat. Namaste.